Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Stash Chat. So today I'm going to be joined live by Jess from So What If I Sew. Hello, sewn by Sarah. We're gonna be chatting with Jess today about her sewing stash because that's what we do here over at Stash Chats, and we're going to be finding out about Jess's new PhD that she's just started and how she thinks that might change her approach to sewing and fabric buying. So it's going to be quite an exciting episode. If you haven't managed to catch our previous two episodes where we spoke with Sandeep from System Intaka and Zoe from Check Your Thread, they are up on our YouTube channel now, which is just called Stash Hub. If you prefer to watch things over on YouTube rather than on Instagram, because I know with the reels, because the lives are saved as reels and they're not that easy to pause or go back if you want to watch a bit again. So this time I'm going to try and add Jess to the call because had some technical issues last time with the live. So we'll see if I can request for Jess to join this time, if that's any more successful. But let me know. I can see that Jess has joined the live now, so let me know if that doesn't work for you, Jess, and you can always try and send a request as well. But thanks everyone who's tuning in live. Do remember that you can ask any questions in the chat and we'll ask them to Jess while we're on the live. Let's see if we can get Jess in now. Sometimes this takes a few goes. We're still getting people joining anyway, so hello to everyone that's just joined. We're having the usual technical difficulties, so we'll see if we can eventually get Jess into the call. It says Jess isn't able to join. I don't know why it always wants to do this. Yep. Send me some supportive messages.
Hello.
Got Jess.
Hooray. Sorry, I look an absolute state. Well, I look how I'm going to look for the next 4 years, so please bear with, because I'm a PhD student now, so I'm sort of messy and all over the place. So please do bear with. The sewing room is an absolute tip, but I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Yvette. Can you see and hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great, and give us a wave from the chat as well if you're just joining, and you can. Stacey says hello. Hello, Stacey. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get right into it. So, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, Jess, and what you like sewing, and a little bit about your sewing background?
Yeah, sure. So, for anyone who doesn't follow me, hello. I'm Jess. I'm from So What If I Sew. I, as Yvette has put in the description-y bits, had a bit of a life change recently. So until 2 weeks ago, I was an event manager. I'd worked in events since I was 16, right through uni, through school and everything. But I'm actually now taking up a full-time PhD. So I'll be a part-time freelancer, etc. in the events world. But I'm becoming a PhD now, which is so exciting. In terms of my sewing life, firstly, I sew with a machine. My hand sewing's appalling, and I'm physically incapable of knitting or crocheting. I'd love to, but it just doesn't go. But I love my machines and my overlockers. I am a speedy sewist. I'm much more likely to spend 8 hours on a Saturday smashing through something because life is busy, and so I like to take any sewing time I can and really just wring the sewing out of it.
Through the sewing at any time you've got. Excellent.
Oh my god, I'm near my machine. Fantastic. Let's do something. In terms of what I sew with mostly wovens. But it's not because I don't like jerseys. Do you know what it is? I don't see as many jersey fabrics that I'm drawn to as I do with wovens. I sew a lot of dresses. I'm quite good for trousers. I'm appalling for tops. That's a new thing for me this year. I'm really trying to focus on making more, because I wear jeans and jumpers in the winter, so trying to make stuff I can wear with jeans and a cardi or that kind of vibe. But I've been sewing actually much longer than I realised. I've been sewing for about 10 years. So I started sewing when I was 17 because at the time, the type of body that was in fashion is not the one I had. So I found it very hard to find shirts that would fit my bust and my waist, or I'm 5'2". So it's the classic cutting 6 inches off trousers because fashion is made for tall, skinny people, which is, I'm very happy for them and their massive choice of trousers. But things like that led to me wanting to be a bit more creative. And then my mum was a costume designer back in the day, and a theatre designer. So she taught me to sew in a straight line. And then I've really just gone from there. I had a little break while I was at uni, and then I've come back to it, like most of it, like 2019-ish. I really got back into it, got everything sent down to my house down here, from my parents' house up in Scotland. And yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been a bit wild joining Instagram because I didn't know any of this existed. So yeah, 3 years in, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Everyone's lovely. It's such a good community we have.
Yeah, because I think this sort of links into your really exciting news about being in the sewing magazine.
Yes. So sorry guys, I will not shut up about this for about a week, so please bear with. I was asked by the wonderful Rachel Byrne, who, if you don't follow her, you should. She is a sewing and craft writer. She also just makes the most beautiful things. But she got in touch with me and said she was writing something about craftivism and sewing activism, and obviously Sew Yellow Ferrando is my baby, and I love it. So she asked if I wanted to talk about it, and the answer to that is always yes. So yeah, we did a little interview, and it's been published today. So actually, if you don't mind me using this to announce as well, part of that is I've put it in writing in a national magazine, so it has to happen now. Next year I will be doing a live event for Sew Yellow Ferrando in London, where I will invite you to wear something yellow. It'll be ticketed, but ticket proceeds will cover whatever venue hire it is and then go to charity. So I'm terrified. So if you live down here and you would like to come and wear something yellow and just generally see other sewists and chat, please do, and take part. Thank you, Holly. Holly, who's just commented in the chat, is my school friend, who's fabulous and has my first sewing machine actually. So I hope it's very happy with you. But yeah, it's been wild and so surreal to go into WH Smith's today and pick up a magazine and be like, I'm in it.
Where am I?
Literally, even my mum's got a copy.
Oh.
My parents are normally quite, like, they're very busy people, so they don't sort of, like, they're not good with dates. Like, they forget their own wedding anniversary every single year. But even my mum has gone and bought a copy today, and I'm just like, guys, you know, it's so cool. But yeah, I do sewing activism. Hooray, we have at least one person in London that will come.
Well,
Yvette, will you come?
so even if it's just me and Sarah, we're going to have a blast. It's going to be
yeah,
but
we'll wear yellow, we'll get hammered, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
you know.
Coming from the events industry though, I feel like it'll be a breeze for you. This is
your pressure. The pressure of everyone knowing that's my day job is unbelievable. But it does help, it has to be said, particularly with the doing, because I organise Sew Yellow Ferrando on my own as well. It definitely, I would be lying if I said I didn't slip into work me for the sort of 2 months prior. But
right. Yeah, well, so yeah, now I'm going to like just sort of segue very delicately into your stash. And off the back of Sew Yellow Ferrando, does that mean you've got lots of yellow fabric in your stash? Or are you sewing it all up for Yellow Ferrando? You don't have any?
I would love to be that person who is organised enough for their own challenge that they've sewn their yellow thing prior. I'm not that person. I am always sewing at exactly the same time as you guys. I'm always buying my fabric in March because, particularly with my own makes for projects, I want to make sure that it reflects where I am at that time, and also that I've had a good think about, like, I mean, my endometriosis is miles better, my surgery is fantastic, but there are still things I need in my wardrobe for when I'm on my period, when I'm ovulating, stuff like that I like to sort of sit and think, and that March is my time to go. Whilst the surgery has been phenomenal and life it's chalk and cheese from where we were, it's my moment to go, let's think rationally about what we need, and also treat myself to some beautiful yellow fabric from one of our sponsors, because also the discounts are for me as much as they are for you guys as well. Like, please embrace them.
It's really really important, I think, to like engage in your own challenge, because it is a community thing, like you're very much part of the community. So I think it's really great that you're able to join in that in real time. It's not just like, here's some yellow stuff that I made ages ago, whatever. It's like, no, I'm here, like this is my actual experience of endometriosis. You know, this is what I'm making, and you know, I think it's much more inspiring to see someone really like, you know, on the same level as everyone else. And I think that's what's really good in the sewing community, because it's like it feels very much like everyone's in it together, not just like, you know, there
absolutely. Like, I'd be a terrible Blue Peter presenter. I have nothing made earlier. I'm very much like, here I am at the same time as you guys, sewing for my own deadline that I set like 2 months ago. I should be fine, but I am not. But it does mean, so currently I'm looking down at my stash. I can't turn the camera a lot, but I will a little. My stash is smaller than it was because money and sewing is expensive and cost of living crisis. I'm going to turn slightly and look at what I have. It's split. I have a lot of wovens. I have a really weird amount of denim at the moment, which is fun. Because I'm going to do jeans, I have to now. I've got 3 sets of denim. I've got to make something. Although I am sort of edging gently into jeans by tackling the, how do I pronounce it? It's maison faux, isn't it?
Yes.
The hussard jeans, which are like a sort of cigarette style jean, but they've got like little darts at the top, and they're made for a lighter weight denim. So those are going to be my first foray into jeans, because they're like more trousers. But yeah, I think we've got a lot of denim. We've got a couple of knits on at the moment. We have got some satiny bits, because I like having, I bought that satin actually in a D-stash, so I'm going to get it out, because, it's like vacuum packed in there. So I have this cute satin actually, which we're going to talk about in a bit, because I want to use it more as a toile, because I got it in a D-stash. Like, it's not, I don't really care about the colour, but it's a really nice quality Duchess satin, but I didn't pay very much for it. So my plan is, and I would welcome any suggestions, I want to go to the Dressmakers Ball next year, because I'm incredibly jealous of everyone who went this year. It looked so gorgeous.
Yeah, I had massive FOMO for those events as well.
I was looking at it and I was like, the thing is, I love sewing, and I feel like everyone has their sort of natural habitat. Like, some people love festivals, some people love gigs. I'm a black tie evening girl. I love an evening dress. Like, I don't care. I will, whatever is required, I will be there in my nice evening dress.
And they're like, oh no, it's casual, just jeans and a nice top. You're like, ugh, not again.
I have a horror in my head. I'd always rather be overdressed than underdressed.
Yeah.
Also, tell us in the comments how you feel about that one. Because I feel like some people are like, oh, I'm fine if I turn up in jeans, and other people are like dressed up. I'm just mortified. I'm like, no, I can't do it. But the plan is to make a proper evening dress, and I would toile it in this. But I want evening dress suggestions. I want pattern suggestions for something stupidly dramatic. So if anyone has any patterns they love, stick them in the comments below, or let us know, because yeah, it's an ambition, and I'd really like to sew like a proper evening dress. Like, it'd just be fun.
Emily,
if you went, what would you wear?
I don't know. Emily, I'm just going to say, Emily says in the chat that she's definitely going next year.
Hooray!
So I just want to know if you've got a plan yet, Emily. Do you know what sort of thing that you would make? Yeah, I don't know what I'd make. I've got some really nice vintage patterns that Doug Gran gave me. And there's one that's like, it's like floor length, like a massive A-line skirt and a really low back, but then quite like high on the front. I'd love to make that. I think that would be
incredible. Oh my god.
Bow on the back as well. I'll send a picture of it later. It's really nice.
I could see you in that. I could. Like, oh my god, that would be so pretty. Also, if Emily's going, I really want to go, because Emily and I have been tagging each other and stuff for like 3 years. We have a mutual agreement that if there's like giveaways, we can just tag each other. So I'd love to meet you in person, because it's just really nice. But yeah, that's sort of my stash. I have the odd few, like, do you know what? I shop in a sort of peony dress. That would be. Yeah. I want to have a go at the peony. Actually, it does look really nice. It's one of those patterns where I feel like you could wear it to anything.
Yeah, and I feel like with all the darts, like it could be work to fit it, but once you got the fit, it would be like really nice.
Yeah, I completely agree. Some garments are worth it. Some you just try and then you're like, no, I'm throwing this in the bin. Like, no. But yeah, no, like my graduation outfit though as well. I spent so long fitting that, even though it's a Vogue pattern and thus the dimensions bear no resemblance to a human being. But I spent so much time working on it because I was like, no, it's worth it. It's worth it. We're gonna take a step out of the sewing room whenever we feel like screaming, and then we're gonna come back and keep fitting it. But yeah, I guess that's sort of my stash.
You've had quite a big like sort out of your stash recently.
Yes. So using Stash Hub, and now this is not actually an intentional plug. When Yvette and I met like 2-3 weeks ago, September has just vanished. We were talking about the fact that I basically don't have space on my phone for another app because I'm useless. I fill it. It's like a handbag. I just fill it completely. And I prefer like a web version. I was like, oh, I wish there's a web version. And Yvette, oh, there is. So if you would like to tune into my YouTube on Sunday, the 1st of October, you can see me sort my entire stash and log it all. Or I had 20 uncut fabrics, so I've logged all of those on Stash Hub, and now I have a bag full of remnants that I'm going to try and use first. But so satisfying, guys, cannot recommend enough. Like, it's so pretty when I look at it now. It's like, it's all there and it's all nice. But yeah, Sunday, 1st of October, come over to YouTube, commiserate with me, get a cup of tea, and join me, because you should have seen it. I was like knee deep in fabric in my very small sewing room, and Adam literally walked in and went, and then just walked really slowly out. He was like, I'm not.
You'll share the space as like an office space.
Yeah, we share it. I think the usage is like 75% to me, 25% to him, because he's only in here during the day, whereas I'm in here all evening.
Yeah.
For sewing and stuff as well. And also, like, so the room is sort of like a little rectangle, so he's got like an L on that side, and then I have this side. That happens so often, that way, and then all of this way. So I'm gonna try and turn it. Are you gonna let me turn? So I have like a cute little unit here and stuff that's like all
you just let him live in it.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it. We are considering moving to a one bed so we can like save for a house and stuff. So that may mean even more downsizing. So we will see. But my big aim at the moment with my PhD, and like the thing is, I've been really lucky. I've been awarded a scholarship. I've been given a stipend. But cost of living crisis, guys. My income is halving. To be realistic with you guys, it is roughly halving, and I'll have to make it up through freelancing and stuff like that. But it does mean sewing's an expensive hobby. I love it and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it's an expensive hobby. And I definitely noticed, like, it was really important to me. You'll see if you watch the video on Sunday that I catalogued exactly what I have and what I've used it for, and like how much money realistically is sat in this room, because my fabric's in this unit, and there's also a big plastic box under the desk with like bulkier stuff. And it's remembering whenever I want to shop, going, what do I have in my stash? And Stash Hub's actually really helped with that as well.
Amazing.
Just to have that visual, nice and easy, representation.
We've got a comment from Petal Palmer along those lines that says, it took a while to put all my patterns and fabric on Stash Hub. Had a shock when I looked at the statistics, especially what I've spent. Now we're buying any more and using what I have.
But that's the thing though. I find like if I shop online, at least I'm very aware of how much I'm spending. If I shop in person, like
it's much harder. I think when you shop online, because the price is like right there, like in big writing at the top, whereas when you're in person, you're just like feeling all the fabric, and I don't know, I just feel like you get all the emotions and you're just like, don't have to have this. It gets very expensive.
I'm much less likely to emotionally purchase online. Now I say that, however, this wool is sat next to me, which I waited a whole 3 days between seeing it, wanting it, and then I was like, no, I can't. No, I'm doing it. And I just bought loads, and I cut out a jacket out of this morning, actually. I've been like,
so you've started amazing suit project.
I have, yes. So the jacket actually will be revealed in a couple of weeks on YouTube, because I am incapable of, do you know what? It's ridiculous. For work, for my PhD, I can work in a really measured way and I can split out tasks and it's fine. With sewing, something in my brain goes, no, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. And then we get to like 3 days before I need to reveal something or like take it somewhere or wear it somewhere. And my brain just goes, do you think we should cut it out now? And I'm like, yeah, we really do need to. So that the jacket is cut out, the skirt's cut out. Skirt will be a little bit longer because I need to buy an exposed zip for the back. And I want to see if I need any other haberdashery. And then I'm going to order it as a oneer. Little tip actually for anyone who's looking for the speediest delivery of haberdashery and notions ever, but also pretty reasonably priced. I love J-Cots. They're not on Instagram that I can see, but they're a really, really solid website. And I get like, for bra making, I got half my notions for that there, for my blazer as well. But if you order a zip, it'll be here the next day, which I love. So yeah, I will throw that tip in there. But yeah, no, it's sort of.
So have you got wear your like Chanel inspired co-ord?
I mean, all occasions I'm gonna sleep in it. Just all the time. But no, specifically, I want it for my PhD. So I want it for when I first, because potentially I'm gonna start lecturing, which is really cool. They're gonna make me an associate fellow because of the amount of practical experience. It's the whole thing. It's really cool.
Congratulations. So you're gonna wear it when you need to feel like a real boss, and you're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, especially as like I'm quite young to do a PhD, and I can see everyone's been so lovely, but there is a sense sometimes in the bigger stuff where it's like, oh, you're a little PhD, and you're like, no, I'm allowed to be here. This is fine. Good old imposter syndrome. But
academia without imposter syndrome.
Honestly, it's ridiculous. But actually, I have to say my uni's been fantastic. Like they've been really, really good. So, and my supervisors are lovely. But the other thing I want this suit for is I am going to the Chanel exhibition because a very, very good friend of mine works at the V&A and she's got me free tickets for my birthday in January. So come hell or high water, it has to be done for that so I can wear it to the Chanel exhibition at the V&A. Which, amazing. Go and see it. If you're in London, if you can get a ticket, go. It's meant to be sensational. Kim from So Much to Say went the other day and shared photos, and I was literally like, the FOMO is so real because I'm not going to January. But like, thoroughly recommend like get tickets if you're a sewing gal. It's just great. But yeah, no, that's I think what I'm gonna wear that to. I wasn't brave enough to cut into that until this morning, and then I was like, right, my stash up thing's coming up. I'm talking about my stash today. I'm gonna do it. So watch this space, guys.
Amazing. So what patterns are you going to use?
I am using the skirts pretty much self-drafted because as anyone who's followed me for a while will know, I love an A-line mini skirt. I just love them. I think it's because I'm short and they make me look tall. So that's a pattern. I think it started long ago as something from a Great British Sewing Bee, but it's been adjusted and changed and adjusted and changed till now it's just like my mini skirt pattern. For like as in for my body. So I'm gonna use that. And then the jacket actually is, again, it's quite an obscure pattern. It's a simple sew one, and I think it's called the Jackie O jacket. I'm gonna get it actually because it's right here. Love my pattern envelopes. I was solidly influenced by Ruan. It was ridiculous, but I love them. So that's it.
Oh nice.
It's the Jackie O jacket, and it's like, I'm not gonna do pockets because I don't care. Like I quite like the line of it without, but it's not going to have buttons or anything. It's going to be more of a box jacket just because I actually find that more comfortable. I find a jacket with buttons with my body shape can look a bit weird. Like it can sort of, I don't know, you really have to put a lot of work into like a blazer with cup sizes and everything so that it falls where it should. But with like a jacket like that, if I buttoned it, it would just look really weird. So we're going to go box, and then I'm thinking about, do I make a blouse for underneath? But then in terms of shopping my wardrobe, which I try and do at all times, I do have some really, really nice black blouses, so I think I'll probably unless I see something where I'm like, I must make this immediately.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be.
Well, you can always, because you're going to make that suit and then keep it for a long time, so you can always do the top like another time later on.
Yeah, or if I found that, like, you know, there's a colour I think would go really well with it or whatever. But I'm so excited. Like, I like to have a project like that to think about.
So now that you've got all your stash like catalogued and organised, do you feel like you've got a clearer view now of like what your next projects will be?
I think so. There's a few things. So I'm trying to. I've swapped over my wardrobe now from spring, summer to like autumn, winter. We are at the time of year where I'm trying to see what summer clothes can be worn in the winter with a jumper and boots, because I like making sure my wardrobe can exist across multiple spaces and multiple seasons. But my next project, I'm trying to be conscious about what I need, particularly as my job is changing. My current job, I will walk anywhere from 20 to 40,000 steps around one site. So I have to have clothes I feel comfortable in, but look really smart. I have to be able to put a radio either on a belt or on my trousers, so there needs to be enough fitting to do that. Like, there's parameters like that my current job requires, and I have to like be able to wear them for 16 hours comfortably, you know, like there's a lot of stuff like that. Whereas for my PhD, I'm sitting down a lot, which doesn't sound like I need to dress for it, but I don't really own any comfortable clothes. Like, as in I've got like, I'm wearing trackies right now, which are from Tesco's, and they're like knitted ones. But I don't put much into like looking smart while working from home. Like, I'll still wear skinny jeans, which when you're sat down for a while isn't great for your legs. So I'm trying to think about trouser patterns that make me feel good and like I'm still getting dressed, but are comfortable to wear for work. Again, any suggestions massively welcome. Cardies, jumpers, the kind of stuff where I'm a big believer in wardrobe and mindset being linked.
Yeah.
I always used to dress up for exams because it made me feel like I was in the right space.
Yeah.
When I have a horrible client, I am so polished because I'm like, I need my armor on. Yeah. And that's a big thing. I think like clothes have the power to make you feel so good or terrible. So I want to make sure that my new wardrobe fits the new demands of my life. So that's why the Maison Clove Hussard jeans are coming up. The True Bias Marlowe, I'm making 2 of them because why not, really? I can always do with an extra, especially as I lost mine on the tube. R.I.P. Oh my god.
The Marlowe that you lost, such a shame.
Do you know what? I was on the tube and I was at Piccadilly Circus and it was pulling away, and it literally, as the door shut, I just saw it vanish, and I was like, okay. Like,
no, there's probably like a little family of those mice that live in the tube that have it as a lovely nest.
oh yeah, the borrowers have got a marquee now, they're fine. But it is, I did ask the tube station.
Untitled Sports Chandler pants, because they're like, you've got pleats and they're like a sort of cigarette leg, but they're elastic on the back.
Oh my goodness me, those are going to have to happen. I love them because I love the Closet Core Pietras. I wore them today. I forgot how big the pockets are, guys. If you haven't made them, make them. I've made one of every view, and I'm considering another pair of tailored shorts in them in like a wool, but I can't decide if that's, you know how loads of 2000s fashion's coming back.
Yeah,
and it's kind of slightly horrifying. And then like great on the one hand in some things, and then I'm like, no one wants low-rise jeans, no one wants tube tops.
With going through it once though, you already know like what's the garbage and what we can actually go with, so you can just be like, you know what, those belts that are made of all the little circles, it's not happening, we're not doing that again.
I look back on some photos, I'm so glad we didn't have as much social media.
I know. What Gen Z are going to be so embarrassed in like 15 years time. It's going to be really funny.
It's just hilarious. I mean, so one of my best friends, her sister is like just left uni, so she's a bit younger than us, and she's very much Gen Z. Really lovely girl, fantastic, like very sweet, but she dresses very Gen Z, and she poses in photos, and she keeps taking the mick out of me and my friend because we pose like millennials. And we're like, how dare you? Because we've got our hand on it. It's really hard. Like,
the trousers again.
Although one of my friends was wearing flares the other day, and I was like, you look fantastic. However, I am going to rib you mercilessly for this because...
If it rains, I will laugh at you.
Exactly. I was like, stood in any puddles recently?
Emily, about Vicky So's patterns. They do some nice sexy evening patterns.
Ooh, yes. And Vicky So's is on my Make 9 this year. And there is a dress on there, but I think I might change it for something else. I'm also looking because there's some really... No one needs skirts over trousers again. Yes. Yes, 100 times. Or like those weirdly long tops with leggings and a belt for some reason, even though they were always tight.
Belts as well. You can't just have one belt. You have to have at least 3 belts.
How do I know if I have enough belts? Is there a measure?
You keep putting on belts. When you think I've got enough belts, you add at least one more, and it has to be studded, and then you go out.
It's the opposite of the Chanel quote, isn't it? Before you leave the house, add one more belt.
And a scarf, a really thin scarf as well. You got to have.
I just don't understand what they were for. Like, I just don't. They didn't have any kind of positive impact. And in the UK, they just look silly because you look like you've got streamers because it's always windy.
Yeah.
It's just silly. But yes, sorry, we have just gone off on one there. But I hope everyone has enjoyed that. But I definitely, my stash will be staying away from trends and will be aiming for the timeless, I think.
Yes, I mean, that's a good way to go, especially if you're on a budget. My poor feet can't take ballet pumps again.
Do you know what? I've gone back to ballet pumps only because when I broke my foot, they were all I could wear, and now I've actually become used to them again. So I'm going to have to get back to normal shoes immediately. Because you might as well walk on the floor. Like there's just nothing. Although if anyone has any good, like, I'm a sucker for an ankle boot, but if anyone's got any good shoe recommendations for just like non-boots, but like sturdy enough shoes that aren't trainers, I would appreciate that, because like shoes are awkward. I don't know if you find this. Like, I'll style a really cute outfit and then I'm like, oh, I just hate all of my shoes.
Yeah, I really struggle to get shoes because I've got quite wide feet as well. So if I buy shoes online, I get them and then I'm like, my foot literally can't fit in. What am I doing here?
So I have 2 things. The front of my foot's wide and the back of it's really narrow. So certain brands, I'm like, that's just never going to happen. But also my feet, like, I'm 5'2", but my feet are a size 6.
Yeah, same. I'm literally 5'2" with size 6 feet as well.
Do you get the problem where you look a bit like a duck if your shoes come too far up your feet? I do. Like, you might carry it off beautifully, but for me, I'm like, why do I have so much foot? Like, so weird.
And I'm like, that is such a cute shoe, and it's like a size 3, and I'll pick it up in a 6, and I'm like, oh no.
It's like a boat. It's ridiculous. I'm really enjoying this. I know this is not sewing related, guys, but I'm having a great time.
I know, yeah. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions to ask Jess, either about her stash or sewing, or even just about like naughty's fashion. Another size 6 feet.
We should make a club. How does anyone get shoes that fit them? I don't know, but if you find out, please tell us. I think it's the only way. This is, to be fair, this always happens when I go on Instagram lives. I'm so sorry, but I just have a chat.
It's literally called Stash Chat, so that's why we're chatting. This is great. Yeah, and Crocs. I don't think I can justify the wearing of Crocs in public. Maybe for like gardening, but I don't know if I could do Crocs.
I will allow Crocs at the beach because they make sense. However, the number of times I've got on the tube in the last few weeks and seen people wearing Crocs with full massive white socks, it's just distressing. I just can't. Like, why did we decide clogs were good? Why? I mean, I also love that there are people who just love them and were waiting for them to come back and are like, yeah.
They do ballet Crocs.
They do, because my mum has them. It's brilliant.
I'm thinking in my head what that looks like. I'm going to have to Google it afterwards, and then I'll get loads of Crocs adverts.
Do you know what it is? It's like the older version of the jelly shoe, is how I'm going to put it. It's sort of like, they do actually look quite cute, and they are comfortable. Oh goodness, that's a look and a half, isn't it? 13-year-old wears Crocs and fluffy socks. Does the fluff come through the holes?
I was literally going to say that. It's just sprouting up.
Oh my god. thought the same as you once.
Some division, I think, in the viewers about whether or not people like Crocs. I think it's divisive.
Do you know what? I won't penalise anybody who had Crocs the first time round. Like, you do you. Do you know, somehow, Emily, I'm more okay with you having a pair of jelly shoes than I am with you liking Crocs. Like, that's where I am.
You have to suffer for the look. They will cut your feet, but you won't have soggy shoes when you come out the sea because they're just impervious to everything.
That is true. They're just
very badly.
They're indestructible. I mean, do you know, sometimes though, I was wearing a pair of French Connection heels. I've now had to just banish them from my life because they were so beautiful. But as soon as you put them on, you'd be bleeding within 3 minutes. And I wore them so many times. And there was just like, I was like, there was just no, these shoes are not made for feet. These are just made to look at and be like, aren't you pretty? And they were white. So I was like, right, well, I can't wear them now. So be gone. But it is definitely like, are you a heels girl or a flats girl?
I really don't wear a lot of heels now. Like, I would have worn heels at like sort of more fancier events, but then it was the pandemic and I just like didn't wear any shoes.
No shoes, none.
Yeah, kind of a Converse girl, to be honest.
No, that's fair. So before I broke my foot fractured a bit of my foot in June or May. I did it in May. I normally wear heels every day, because I just like it, I prefer it. But I've sort of, in an ideal world, I'd wear them all the time, and I can wear them all the time, but the hill we live on is like a 1 in 3 hill, and I found I can't walk down it in heels anymore.
Literally.
Like my proper ones. Literally, yeah, my knees are like bent and I'm like back here. It's not a good look, and it's very slow to go to the station. So I sort of started putting additional shoes in my bag, but normally I'm a heels girl, and I find like it helps with ballet and stuff as well because I'm just sort of on my toes a lot. But I'm sort of embracing trainers a bit more now.
Yeah, I'm the same petal. I'm also not wearing an underwire bra. I went to this gig on Saturday and I got selected for a random spot check where they searched me and they were like, I'm just gonna look under the wire of your bra, and they're like, oh, you don't really have a wire. Just there, like, it was so awkward. Honestly.
That's oh god, that is something, isn't it?
I was like, sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, the thing is, there is never a scenario in which you would have imagined you having to say sorry for not having an underwired bra on, and yet being British dictates that you go, I'm sorry, your stop and search hasn't gone well.
It was the whole thing was so awkward because I also had like literally in my pockets I had like my ID, my phone, and a tissue, and like all the rest of my stuff was in a bag in the car because I was like, there's no point taking all this stuff in. And so they were like, oh, can you empty your pockets? I took these 3 things out and put them on this table, and they were just like, is that it? And I was like, yes. What do you want from me? Like, more stuff. I just wouldn't get it out for you. It was weird anyway.
Here's the selection of things I have chosen to give you. Jessica Be Happy has just joined the chat. What you have missed is me and Yvette chatting about terrible 2000s fashions that are coming back.
Yeah, we also chat quite a lot about our feet, which I think probably maybe not wise to do on the internet. Yeah, you haven't missed too much, Jessica.
They're not visible, so it's fine. Yeah, we won't be added to a
up on YouTube as well, so you can watch it all tomorrow. If you want to hear the little bits that we did actually talk about Jess's stash and her upcoming project.
Well, one thing I would like to talk about a little bit in terms of stash, if it's okay, is about thrifty sewing a little bit, because it's quite a big gear shift for me. I mean, everyone has their different styles of sewing, and one thing you did ask me in advance as well is about how I shop. And that's probably a big thing that's changed. Now, I prefer to shop. My head prefers to shop online, and only for the projects I need. My heart prefers to shop in person, buy everything that I touch twice and go, oh my god, it's beautiful. And shop in hauls with no real idea of what I'm actually going to use anything for. Which I don't advise, and I know is not the way. Like, there can be pressure, particularly as a sewist on YouTube, to do fabric hauls. They absolutely can. And the thing is, they do very well. So I understand why people do them, and you know, I've done them myself. But I did have a little sit down.
Living vicariously, isn't it? They're like, well, if I see what Jess has got, then I don't have to do my bike. Because I do that with the subscription boxes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not subscribed, but I always watch the unboxings because then I'm like, oh, yeah, I still feel like part of it because I know what everyone got.
No, I completely agree, and I think I completely get that. But I had to have a bit of a word with myself, because I'm under a strict budget now, and I love my hobby, and I have a lot of fabric in this house. So I'm on a fabric ban until January. All I'm allowed to buy is anything that will allow me to finish a project. So for example, if this swatch from Jelly Fabrics matches my Marlowe cardigan that I just didn't cut out the other side of the facing for because I'm an idiot, then I will buy 1/2 meter of that to allow me to finish that project and add it to my wardrobe. But I'm on like a new fabric ban, because also I think sometimes, particularly in the current climate, I do feel a bit uncomfortable with doing like such big stash hauls and things, and fabric hauls, stuff like that, because I'm like, I don't think this is realistic, and I also don't think it encourages a behaviour that a lot of people can or should do in the current climate. So I'm really trying.
Not sustainable long term to just keep buying that much stuff. Yeah, Ruth's got a question. She said, what was the largest amount of stash you've had at any one point? I'd like to see people just show their existing fabric and plans rather than a haul.
Well, you should watch my video on Sunday the 1st of October where I go through my whole stash, which is, it's a time. But yeah, so in terms of the largest amount of stash I've had at any point, I'm bad at quantifying. I mean, I actually don't think I'm that bad for buying a lot of fabric. What I'm bad for is buying fabric and not knowing what I'm going to do with it. And that's something I've realised. So like one of my Marlows I'm making, I bought that fabric 2 years ago at the Knitting and Stitching Show. And I was thinking about it. And at the time I was like, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. But I haven't touched it. Same as something else I made recently. I bought the fabric like 2 years ago. And that was because at the time I went, oh, it's really pretty, bank holiday sale, bought it. And then obviously it was like, actually, what am I going to do with it? I prefer, like with this fabric, I knew instantly. I looked at it and was like, I'm going to make this, I'm going to make this, I'm going to do it like this. So I didn't feel bad buying it because I knew I'd use it. Whereas I think it can be, particularly at stuff like the Knitting and Stitching Show, it can be really, the stress of it maybe not being there when you go back later.
You don't want to miss out. Yeah, Jessica says, I've got, so what, have you sewn anything with corduroy, Jess?
Yes, I have. I've just sewn my, that's the one. I've just sewn my needly corduroy. No, what am I talking about? Carnaby, thank you, brain. Which is in needle cord. And I've sewn a couple of A-line minis as well. I'm going to scroll back just so I can read the questions.
She's talking corduroy. How can I wash and dry the fabric? And any pressing tips?
So, in terms of washing and drying it, I did mine on a gentle and I overlocked the edges before I washed it because particularly needle cord can, well, it does fray, but also it can just bleed little black bits all over the wash. So I'd recommend washing it on its own as well. When you cut it out on the floor, I had a lovely little, the equivalent of a chalk outline. It looked like I'd murdered some fabric. But it's really good to use. I found it's lovely and structured. In terms of ironing it, check the composition of it, because some of them are
like on an off cut as well to check it's not going to like melt it if it's got some poly in.
Well, and the other thing I'd say is I never iron corduroy on the right side. I only ever iron on the wrong side.
Interesting.
Because it's made for ironing on the other side. You also don't get stuff sticking to your iron, because best case scenario, your iron's all fluffy. Worst case scenario, you melt your corduroy, you make it all weird and shiny. And so I'd always iron it from the back personally. And yeah, cool iron. Or now this is something I'm just gonna say, because when I started sewing I wasn't entirely sure about this. I have a pressing cloth. Now, to be clear, I didn't go and buy a pressing cloth. I bought a meter of really nice white cotton. So I just bought basically, but you can use like a bed sheet or something like that. Just stick something between the iron and the corduroy if you're not sure. And that also goes for, I've spent half of this year sewing with satin, pressing cloth. And wool as well.
It's
just
when you're ironing on interfacing as well, so you don't get all the little bits, because there's always just a little bit that hangs over the edge and then it wants to destroy your
Wants
thing.
to be friends. Yeah, no, definitely. But honestly, I would strongly encourage it.
If you don't have an overlocker, Jessica, you can use a zigzag on your regular sewing machine, and you can use that to finish your seams on the inside as well.
Also, you can, one thing I found works really well with corduroys, bias bound seams.
Oh yes,
really,
that's a really
well.
finish.
Or something like flat lock seams if you're doing like a pinafore or that kind of stuff, because for the heavier duty fabric, even though it does bleed and it does fray, if it's enclosed within itself, you're going to get a better finish, and it's going to wash better as well. So I'd recommend like a flat lock seam or like a bias bound edge for inside seams works really nicely.
And then that will look really nice as well.
Exactly.
My name's Carmen and I have a fabric buying problem. I never buy fabric with a project in mind. Don't worry.
I love that. That is a bit. Oh, hang on. We've got another question as well from Emily. How do you pluck up the courage to use good fabric? I love marking a project as complete on Stash Hub. There is no better feeling, is there, than going tick, done. In terms of plucking up the courage to use the good fabric, there's two things. So firstly, this is the only advice I can sort of give from my own experience is sitting and thinking about all of the ways you will ruin your good fabric does not make it easier to sew with the good fabric when you eventually want to. It makes you want to do it less. It puts pressure on you to sew better. It also makes you make mistakes that you wouldn't ever normally make. What I would suggest is block out a good amount of time for cutting it out. If you're worried, because the cutting is really one of the irreparable bits, if you're worried, read your instructions, read your lay plans, go through it all, but really block out some time for you to just relax. And actually, I stick something on Netflix, so I'm not thinking about it. The first time I cut out my Sicily slip dress, I didn't breathe. I did not realise until I finished cutting out one side one like that I'd been holding my breath. That will happen. Don't worry. That's fine. Please breathe though. But you know, like it can be stressful, but if you give yourself enough space to work with it, I would also recommend stopping sewing 5 minutes earlier than you think you should, because that last 5 to 10 minutes is the danger zone of I'm going to do something stupid. And if it's really floaty and lightweight, cut your French seams in the daylight, stretched out on a table so that you don't cut the underside of your dress, as I did with my lovely Jessica slip dress and was utterly bereft. But also, sewing's for fun. It's your good fabric. Enjoy it. And you know, yes, it's really frustrating when you ruin good fabric, but also you've learned something. You'll never do it again.
Yeah. On that point of learning something, I was listening to one of the recent episodes of Love to Sew podcast that was with Wendy, and they were talking about, like, if the thing that you're worried about is wasting money on the fabric, just think about how much it would cost, like, to go to fashion school and to learn how to do everything perfectly before you started doing it. Like, the money that you spent on that fabric's not just buying that fabric, it's also an investment in you learning something new. So even if you make a mistake, you're not going to make that mistake again, hopefully. Like, you know that you shouldn't be doing your French seams in the dark. Like, you're making that investment. And yeah, that's a good point, Ruth. Make a toile before using the good fabric.
Yeah,
that helps
exactly.
You know that the pattern's going to work and fit you and stuff.
That, and I think the thing is as well, like when we're talking about toiles and we're talking about sort of the difference between, I think there is a difference between making a toile and going, oh well, that's worked, versus, oh god, I have scissors in my hand and now I need to cut open this silk, or I need to do satin, or I need to do whatever it is. And I think there is an element to which you have to make sure you treat it like any other project, because I say this sometimes with reading instructions. I don't read instructions very often, because if it's a sleeve, I know how I put in sleeves, so I'm just going to bang a sleeve in. When I do read the instructions for things I definitely know how to do, I get nervous and then do it completely wrong, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I should have just done this thing. Don't second guess yourself too much. You're a good sewist. You make beautiful things. Just go and have fun. And also, you're not a designer. You're not making these clothes to sell. this is your hobby. You're here, you're learning, you can't sew, as Iveta said, you can't sew everything perfectly. So just have fun and don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's what led me to not do a single stitch on my blazer for 6 months, because I just couldn't bring myself. Do you know what? I have ruined it and I don't care, because it's a wearable toile, and I'm not going to say I've got better at welt pockets, because I really haven't. But I definitely know how to not do them.
Yeah, you've got experience now. You've got valuable experience.
I have war wounds is actually what I have when I look at it. But no, it's been good. Does anyone have any other questions for us? Also, agree on the wearable toiles. I hate wearing toiles that you're not going to do anything with. There's no point, because that's just fabric taking up space. Like, make it so you can wear it, or cut it up and use it for something else. That's something else I would do. Any other questions for us?
Yeah, otherwise we have to wrap it up, because we've been chatting for like almost an hour. I can't believe it.
God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been great having you on the show, Jess. I'm really grateful for you coming on.
It's
been
an
such
absolute
fun.
pleasure. I do not have to be convinced to talk about sewing at any point. It's been fabulous. I am gonna shamelessly plug myself for a second. Oh, okay. I cut out a coat over a year ago, and I'm scared to sew it in case I ruin it. Oh, no. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fantastic. Also, tell us the pattern.
Yeah, you can do this. Even
yes, you can.
have a tolerance of mistakes. A little bit's okay. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you've got to remember what a mistake, like quantify what you mean by a mistake, because cutting a huge hole in the outside is a problem. Oh, has my internet gone? I bet my internet's gone.
I'm still here and see you. So
brilliant. Okay. I froze for a second on my own screen. I was panicking there. You have to remember when you're sewing, like, there's mistakes like cutting a giant hole in the outside of something, and then there's, oh, my seam finish isn't great. Oh, I've done this, and you're like,
and most stuff you can undo as well. Like, a lot of sewing is reversible, which is like actually really good. I think people need to embrace their seam ripper. It's so useful. Like, it really takes the pressure off. Oh, thanks so much for joining us, Emily, and for commenting as well. We've loved having you, and hopefully we'll see you at the Dressmakers Ball next year.
We must do it. All of our tiny people that we are. Simplicity 8797
gang.
Yes, we have to create a Team Crocs before I go. Just getting a parting shot in there. I refuse. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. But it will be fantastic. I love Captain Seam Ripper to the rescue, and I feel like that needs to be a comic drawn by someone. So if anyone's good at drawing, please draw Captain Seam Ripper for me. So I'm going to tilt you. I have 2 things on the wall, and I'd like to make a triptych. So any good sewing art, send it my way, because it's annoying me. I only have 2 things.
Otherwise, you have to wait 3 or 4 years so you can put your PhD diploma up there.
And I think that's going to go somewhere else until I can, bear looking at it.
You'll be sick of it by then.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Also, loving the amount of support in the comments for just going for the coat. Do it, honestly.
Coat.
Even a trashy coat that you've done and you've learnt loads through is better than sitting and looking at a pile of stuff cut out that you don't want to use. So just go for it.
A year ago, so you can just girl math it. It's free fabric now.
It is. It's free. It's both free and taking up space, both in your brain and in your sewing room. So get it on the machine, but also give me and Yvette an update, because we are your personal coat cheerleaders now. I'm volunteering you for this, but I feel like we are.
And everyone else who's watching does as well. Anyway, yeah, let's wrap it up. We're almost at 9 p.m. No, this is great. This is fine. And you can always tune in on YouTube tomorrow if you do want to watch the whole thing, or you can watch it over the weekend while you're sewing, while you're waiting for Jess's videos to come out on Sunday. So next week, we're actually going to be back at a different time. So we're on Monday next week, so you don't have to wait very long for the next episode. So next week, I'm going to be talking with Emma from Studio 77, who is a bag pattern designer and bag maker. So I'm really interested.
Follow her.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to hear about like what's different with like the bag making stash. I'm imagining like, lots of notions and all different sort of stuff. So yeah, do let me know if you've got any questions for Emma, and that's going to be on Monday at 8 p.m. because next Thursday is going to be the knitting and stitching show. So hopefully I'll see some people from the community there if you're around near London. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's joined us, even if you just popped in for a bit. It's been really good seeing you pop up on the list, and thanks for all your questions. And yeah, thanks again, Jess, for joining us. It was really amazing to hear about all your stash and your PhD. I'm really glad that's going well. But yeah, keep us updated, and if you don't follow Jess, go and follow her. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining. Enjoy your corduroy. I loved you both. I enjoyed this so much. Cheers. We're gonna have crop nightmares with a fluffiness just poking out the holes.
I'm imagining a crocodile wearing Crocs now. I think that would, now that's an image I'm having in my head.
Crocodiles wearing Crocs would be funny. Like, it would make them much less threatening.
Can you imagine a little squish?
That
but yes,
ridiculous.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Guys. And also, if you want to send us any of your sewing dilemmas, we're always happy to be your sewing agony aunts. So ping us a message. Like, there is a fabulous community out there. Do not be scared to sew anything. And thank you so much, Yvette, for having me and letting me ramble about terrible 2000s fashion trends and what I'm actually not sewing.
Yeah, we've probably mentioned it too much now, and now New Craft House will decide that's going to be their theme for the next party. So we'll have to get some many skirts and belts to wear over our wide leg jeans.
Oh my god, can you imagine? But then there'd be actual photos, which would be a problem for me. It would have to be like a phone embargo.
Maybe I'll see if I can get some yellow Crocs to wear to your So Yellow Ferendo event. Get some.
I'd allow it. Those are the only colour we're allowed, guys. So, you know. Fabulous. Thank you all so much for watching and for bearing with. And thank you, Yvette, for having me.
Bye.
Bye.